Hello students, let us continue our discussion. This will be the last session on the theory part of electrostatic capacitance and electrostatic potential and capacitance. So this session will be concentrating on the left out parts, or I can say the extra parts from the chapter, which are actually not much necessary as of your board exams are concerned, but they are important when it comes to concepts and competitives. So, I will be taking three important extra concepts from the chapter. The first is about capacitance, that too the capacitance of the earth. Okay. So, earth is a spherical. Okay, yeah, it's geoidal. Let's keep it spherical for now. So, considering earth as a spherical body, so the earth will have its own ability to store charges in it, right? So, now we will get to know what is the capacitance of the earth, or in fact any spherical body shall be considered and this capacitance can be taken. Okay, let me take a general spherical body and derive the expression for capacitance of that spherical body. Okay, let this be the spherical body whose capacitance has to be found. Once we get the expression of the capacitance of this body, we can extend the same application to earth. So, let small r be the radius of this particular spherical body taken. Now, capacitance of the body is given by charge stored by the potential difference between the plates when we go for the parallel plate capacitor, right? But since we have a single body here, the potential difference, there is no other body, no negative charged body kept closer. If we had that negative charged body, then the potential difference would be potential of this minus potential of this body. Following? This V represents potential difference between two bodies which are kept close to each other. In case of parallel plate capacitor, the plates are the bodies, right? VA minus VB, V, right? That is what we chose. Here we have a single body, there is no other body. So, if we assume that we have a certain body and it has no potential, it's the same scenario, right? So, it's going to be V. If I take the potential on the surface of this particular sphere as V, and the other body which the imaginary body kept without any charge, because it won't be there in the real case, it's single body considered, with the potential 0. Okay, with the potential 0 we have another body if you consider it like so. Then the potential difference between these two is V itself, right? V volts. So, what I need is potential on this point on the surface. We always choose the potential on the surface, right? Because even parallel plate capacitor on the body, on the parallel plate capacitor, what is the potential? That is how we go for it. And now you have V volts here, 0 volts here, V is the potential difference that you got. What is V actually? So, in order to obtain V, see, if you want to get V, you have to store certain charge in the body, then only you can get V. Okay. Since there are no other charges considered in the system except this body, we do not have any charge in the given system, which means that this body itself has to store charge on its surface and should gain this much potential V. Okay. This body itself should be accumulated with certain charge, and that charge will give rise to this much of potential. Following? Let the charge accumulated be Q. That is what this C is giving us. C is equal to Q by V, the basic definition. You should recall the first class of capacitance. Now, what is V? Since the considered body is spherical in shape, so the expression for electrostatic potential of a spherical body on the surface of the body will be given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q, the total charge stored, by R, radius of the body, right? Because we are considering on the surface. Inside, the same value, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R, inside the given or considered sphere. If you go outside the sphere, then the potential would be, should be aware of that. This distance, instead of small r, this distance has to be considered if you take the point here. On the surface, R. Inside the surface, no matter how deep you go inside the spherical body, R value doesn't change, because inside the spherical body, the potential is constant, the electrostatic potential is constant, right. So, now this is the expression for electrostatic potential on the surface of the body. So, let me substitute this expression of V into this equation. That gives me C is equal to Q by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. Q and Q cancels, which gives me the expression C is equal to, see this comes to the numerator, both of them, simply 4 pi epsilon naught R. Okay. So, this is the expression of for a spherical conductor. When you have a spherical body, its capacitance is given by 4 pi epsilon naught R, where R is the radius of that body. Okay. Fine. So, you do not need to worry about the derivation part, just remember the final expression, which is C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught R for a spherical body. Follow? Okay. Now, if you want the same expression to be written for Earth, then the extra thing that comes, or the replacement of this R should be done with the capital R. The radius of the Earth is considered as, or is taken as capital R. Okay. So, when we write the expression for capacitance of Earth, we write C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught capital R. Okay. This is the expression for capacitance of capacitance of the Earth. Okay. R is the radius of the Earth, 6,400 kilometers. So, you can substitute and get the value of capacitance of the Earth. Okay. Next, it is about connecting two charged capacitors with each other. Okay. So, it is about connecting two charged capacitors with each other. Say I have two capacitors, one with the capacitance C1 and the amount of charge stored in it Q1, and hence the potential developed due to the accumulation of charge V1. Okay. One capacitor that I have with me. Say I have one more capacitor of capacitance C2 and charge stored Q2 with the potential difference between the plates V2, when this much of charge is stored. I have these two capacitors. Now, what I will do, I will connect them. Okay. These two are already charged capacitors. I have already charged them and disconnected from the battery. Okay. After charging, you can disconnect from the battery, the charge will stay on the capacitor. Okay. Now, these two are those kind of capacitors which are charged and disconnected from the battery and kept like this. Now, what I will do, I will connect them with each other, right. Before I connect, I want to write all the terms before connecting. So, before connecting, see, C1 is the capacitance of the first capacitor, Q1 is the charge stored, V1 is the potential difference, and C2 is the capacitance of the second capacitor, Q2 is the charge stored in that capacitor, and V2 is the potential difference across that capacitor. Fine. And now, let me connect them. So, when I connect, what happens is, So I'll remove all of them. Okay. So I'll short them, I'll connect them with each other like this. Okay. Once I connect them, what happens is, now they are connected to a common wire, through a common wire. I mean, their plates are connected with each other like this. So charges from this plate and this plate will stabilize with each other. Okay, will stabilize with each other. Q might be different, but V will be the same. Okay. So this is somewhat like you have, I gave this example in the beginning, say you have one tank filled with certain water. Okay. And you have one more tank filled with a different amount of water. Okay. So look at this. This has different amount of water. The volume of water in this tank is different and this tank is different. Obviously, you can see this tank has got more volume of water and this tank has got less volume of water. So both of them are kind of charged capacitors, but not connected. Individually they are charged but not connected like this. Now I'll connect them with each other. How? I'll make this two connected like this. Now what happens? Will the water flow from this to this or this to this? See, the flow of water doesn't depend on the amount of water in it, right? It depends on the potential, the gravitational potential or the height of the water, to keep it simple. So the water will flow from this tank to this tank, right? So how long will the water keep on flowing? Till both the tanks attain same height, right? So which is the factor which is going to become common in both the tanks after connecting them with each other? It's the height of the tanks. Height of the tanks becomes common, becomes equal after connecting them, after shorting them. And even in the case of this, what is height? In fact, it's gravitational potential, right? Height gives you the gravitational potential. Even in the case of capacitors, you have two capacitors connected like this. Charges will flow from one capacitor to the other capacitor. Okay, but how long will they flow? Until both the plates attain common potential. So this and this attain common potential, and this plate will attain common potential, and hence previously we had a potential difference, different potential difference for C1, different potential difference for C2. Now after shorting, both of them will have a common potential difference. Okay, potential difference between this two and potential difference between these two will be the same. Following? So now you can think more on it. It's like say you had a 5 volts of potential difference C1 and 3 volt for this, and 5 volt can be taken as 5 for this and 0 for this, 3 for this, 0 for this. And when you connect them or short them like this 0 will not change. I mean, there won't be current in this part of the circuit. See, this is difficult because it's an assumption that I am taking, or I can take, see, the previous one is charged to, the capacitor C1 is charged to say 6 volt. So I'll take this as 3 and this as minus 3 volt. Okay, this plate 3 volt, this plate minus 3 volt, and hence the potential difference between these two plates 6 volt potential difference. And say this is charged to 4 volts. So this will be 2 volt, this will be minus 2 volt. When we short them, what happens? This point and this point, when they are connected with these plates, when they are connected, charges will flow from one to the other. That depends like this. From this to this itself, because this is of higher potential, this is of lower potential. Charges will flow from that to this till both of them attain common potential. What is the expected common potential here? Yeah, that we'll find now. The common potential, it's not that easy. It will attain certain common potential, and now it's minus 3 and minus 2, and even now they will attain common potential. So same potentials, therefore same potential difference. Fine. So after connecting the capacitors shorting them, they will have same potential difference across the plates, which I will take that as V. So, writing the terms after connecting, I get them as follows. Capacitance will not change, keep this in mind. But see, what is the formula of capacitors? Yeah, it may be C is equal to Q by V, but here Q and V are varying, don't take that. They are like there are some factors which change with time, which can be varied. Q can be varied, V can be varied. But the actual expression of C which we derived, epsilon naught A by D, that depends on the physical property, physical dimension of the given capacitor, right? And here I am not changing the physical properties, physical dimension. I am not changing the area, I am not changing the distance of separation, I am not changing the the distance between the plates. So, it is the same capacitance, same capacitor will have same capacitance. I am not changing any physical condition. So, the capacitance will remain same C1 itself, and even for the second capacitance it is C2. But the amount of charge stored may be different. That I will take that Q1 dash, and the amount of charge stored in the second capacitor can also be different. That I will take that as Q2 dash. See, you can just think of the tank case, the same things are happening here. We do not know what is after connecting, they have gained different charges, Q1 dash and Q2 dash. But both of them will have same potential difference, V and V. Okay. And now C1 doesn't change, capacitance Q1 changes, V1 changes to V, V2 changes to V. Now look at this. See, irrespective of from what height to what height the water level is falling, the amount of water before connecting the tanks is equal to the amount of water after connecting the tanks, right? It's equal. The amount of water from both the tanks taken from both the tanks will be same. In the same way, the amount of charge, because there is no leakage of charge, it is just flowing from this to this, this to this. So, there is no leakage of charge. So, the net amount of charge before charging and after before connecting and after connecting, net amount of charge from C1 and C2 before connecting them with each other and after connecting them with each other will remain the same. So, I can take, so the net amount of charge before connecting is Q1 plus Q2, right? And the net amount of charge after connecting is Q1 dash plus Q2 dash, right? So, now this sum will remain the same, similar to that of water. Okay. So, before connecting, whatever the charge was present in the system, that will remain, because charges are conserved, you can't destroy the charge. Okay. So, the net amount of charge will remain the same. So, if I make use of that condition, which is Q1 plus Q2 is equal to Q1 dash plus Q2 dash. Now, let me take the expression of Q in terms of C and V. C is equal to Q by V, right, which makes Q is equal to CV. What is Q1? Q1 is C1 V1. What is Q2? Q2 is C2 V2 is equal to, what is Q1 dash? C1 V plus what is Q2 dash? C2 V, right? I can take V as a common term from the RHS, which will give me C1 plus C2 of V is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2. Now, send this C1 plus C2 to the LHS. You will have the potential difference, the final potential difference, or we can also say the common potential, the common potential difference between the plates. V is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 divided by C1 plus C2. So, this is the expression for the common potential attained by both the capacitors after connecting them in parallel like this, or after connecting them with each other like this, we can say, right? Okay. So, this is the common potential, an important expression. C1 is this capacity, V1 is the potential of the first capacitor before connecting. V2 is the potential of the second capacitor before connecting, and C1 plus C2 is sum of the capacitance, right. This expression is important. Right. Now the last concept is, and the last part is about when we connect those two capacitors, certain energy will be lost during the process. Okay. What amount of energy or electrostatic potential energy shall be lost, or will be lost when we connect them in when we connect them like that, as I showed you before, which can be discussed now. See, the expression for common potential that we obtained was V is equal to C1 V1 plus C2 V2 divided by C1 plus C2, right. This is the expression for common potential that we obtained. When we short them, this is the final potential that we see. Now, I'll consider the very same diagram. I am not drawing the diagram, but you think of this scenario like this. Okay, total energy. Okay, what kind of energy? Electrostatic potential energy. Okay, electric potential energy or electrostatic potential energy. Total energy of the capacitors before connecting them. Okay. So, remember all the factors. Let me call that as U1, the total potential energy, which is equal to sum of potential energy of individual capacitors, right. So, the first capacitor had the energy half C1 V1 squared in it, right. Go to the terms, you will get it. Half CV square is the potential energy of one capacitor, right, half CV square. And you have two capacitors, one with the capacitance C1 and with the potential difference V1. So, the energy stored in that will be half C1 V1 squared plus, and there is one more capacitor, we have to consider them together, and that will have the energy half C2 V2 squared, right, isn't it? So, this is the total energy stored. Now, when I consider the situation after connecting the capacitors, the net energy, the total energy stored will be, see, now they have attained common potential V, right. So, it is half C1 V squared, the common potential, plus half C2 V squared. These two, you may think, sir, or think that, okay sir, these two are energies before connecting, after connecting. So, energy is conserved, they should be conserved. No, they are not equal to each other, because during the process of flow of charges, when I short them, when I connect them with each other, there will be certain energy lost in the form of heat and electromagnetic radiations. We will get to know why it is going to get lost in the form of heat in the next chapter, current electricity. So, there will be certain loss of energy. The potential energy of the system will be converted into the other forms. So, there is loss of energy, which the expression for that loss of energy shall be derived now. Again, the previous one and the previous one, none of the derivations of this session are going to there for your boards. Okay, it is only about the final expression part, but the concept has to be clear with you, so that you can go for competitive problems. That is why. So, the difference of these two energies will give us the loss of energy, right. Difference of these two potential energies will give us the loss of energy, which I will call as delta U. The loss of energy is equal to U1 minus U2. Okay. I will be avoiding steps because the derivation is not that important. See, from all of them, half is constant as a common factor, I will take that out. So, U1 has C1 V1 squared plus C2 V2 squared minus C1 V squared plus minus of C1 V squared plus C2 V squared. V squared is a common factor. So, I will write that as C1 plus C2 of V squared, okay, because V squared is the common out of them. Now you do these steps, okay, bring V and put that here, okay. So that will give you a lengthy 3-4 steps more to derive, and hence, okay, let me substitute it. C1 V1 squared plus C2 V2 squared minus C1 plus C2 into what is V squared? C1 V1 plus C2 V2. Okay, it's V squared. What we have is V squared. So it's the numerator squared by the denominator squared. Right? So C1 plus C2, one of that will get cancelled. Expand this using a plus b whole square form and then simplify them. So after expanding this and simplifying them with this, you will have the final expression for loss of energy given by delta U is equal to it will be C1 C2 of V1 minus V2 whole squared divided by 2 times C1 plus C2. Okay. If you are curious about the derivation part, you can do it by yourself. You will find it there. So it's not that complicated. Few mathematical steps that you have there. Okay, you can do it. So, but this final expression is important for you. Okay, you should remember the final expression. What is this expression? This is the expression for loss of energy when two charged capacitors are connected with each other. Okay, this is the expression for common potential attained by both the capacitors after connecting them with each other. The same situation, and this is the potential part of the situation, and this is the loss of energy of the situation. Okay, the situation is connecting two capacitors with each other. Now, say if one of the capacitor is uncharged, only one capacitor is charged and the other capacitor is uncharged. If then what happens? V2 becomes equal to 0. Okay. If one of the capacitor chosen is uncharged, then V2 becomes equal to 0. Rest everything follows. Okay. We will discuss those things when it comes to problems. So, but these things has to be kept in mind.